Happening right now on Sports Extra, the very first Falcons preseason game is in the books. We're going to tell you our observations. And it was a very successful weekend at Truist Park for the Braves, but also a historic one for all of baseball. We'll break it all down for you.
I understand the gravity completely and the outpouring of just the support that I've had over the years of just people knowing that this is my goal and I'm taking this seriously. And they were taking me seriously, so and it's culminated to today. So it's just fuel for the fire. I'm gonna go out there and work harder tonight, harder tomorrow, and just keep it going. Keep this going.
Truly one of the coolest things that we've seen in a while. We're gonna talk about gin and so much more. Sports Extra starts right now. Welcome into Sports Extra, everybody. Before we get fully started on our show this evening, we really want to continue to send our thoughts to Detroit Lions defensive back Maurice Norris as he recovers from a very terrifying injury that we witnessed during Friday night's preseason game. Now, Norris was injured in the fourth quarter of Friday night while attempting to make a tackle. He was transported to Grady Hospital, where the Lions said he was responsive at that time and had movement in all of his extremities. Norris himself posted on Saturday on Instagram that he was all good, which was such a phenomenal sign. A chilling scene, of course, inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where both teams elected not to finish the game in a moment that was clearly bigger than football. Gotta be honest, guys, I've never really seen anything like that. I hope we don't have to see that ever again. You think about Damar Hamlin, clearly, and I hate to start the show this way, but I do want to welcome in my guest, Cody Chaffins from DawgNation. Good to see you back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, we love when you're in studio. Tenitra, Batiste, too, from Lockdown, ESPN Radio, all the things. Great to have you back in studio.
Thank you.
Now, it was a very unfortunate scene, but honestly, such an incredible gesture by both of those teams. That was the first thing I thought. When you saw both of those teams going in for prayer, Cody, you thought, wow, this is incredible, and I knew that they weren't going to play the rest of the game. What did you think when all that was unfolding?
When the announcers on TV for a second, they were confused, like what's going on.
Yeah.
It seemed to me pretty obvious. Those guys took the snap and they said, this is it. To me, it was the players kind of taking a little bit of power, right? The NFL's not going to tell them not to play. Yeah. These guys and the coaches decided, hey, we are putting this in our hands and we're not doing this anymore tonight out of respect for this fallen teammate for the Lions and opponent for the Falcons. And they said, you know what? No. We're not going to do this, and we're not going to wait for New York to make the no. We're making the decision here, and I thought it was the right move.
I love that they did that, especially because as a player, you look at the human element of it. When you see something like that, it's really hard to get back out there and say, I'm all in on a preseason game. That's tough to walk out there and do, Tenitra. What do you think?
Indeed. I agree with you, Cody. I think it was such a great gesture that you could tell the team, the players, the coaches were really, really kind of forcing their hand early to say, hey, we don't think this is a good idea. We're already in the fourth quarter. If you're talking about it in terms of looking at what these teams wanted to see in the preseason, I think they'd seen enough and it was time to move on. But also I want to give so much credit to the staff over at Mercedes-Benz as well, because you talk about Damar Hamlin, and one of the reasons that he's still playing in the league today is because of staff members of that medical team for the Bills that came to his aid. Same here with the Falcons. Grady Hospital is the level 1 trauma center that it is. So to have them right there in your backyard to be able to spring into action and make sure that Maurice Norris was good to go early. And now, like you said, he's regained all the feeling in his extremities. I give a lot of credit to not just the football side, but we talk about what they're doing off the field as well. And you got to give a lot of credit to that Grady team over at Mercedes-Benz.
The response by EMS was incredible. We're very lucky to have them in that building. Best of the best for sure. Let's switch gears to the actual game that happened before all of this went down in the second half. You get to see not Michael Penix Jr., not Kirk Cousins.
Nope.
You get the Easton Stick show. And Emory Jones for just a little bit. But Easton Stick, I believe, is going to make this roster. What did you think about his performance?
I thought Easton Stick looked like a guy who'd been in the league a little bit, has played a little bit. He looked confident out there. What really impressed me was the 2-minute drive at the end of the first half where he just drove the Falcons right down the field. He was making all the throws, and he looked much more comfortable than Emory Jones, who dropped a snap at one point, seemed a little bit rushed at times. Yeah. But Easton Stick's got to be a guy, because if you're a Falcons fan, you're hoping he's actually probably your backup going into the season, and some team somewhere decides Kirk Cousins is worth it.
Yeah, that's why I think Easton's going to make the roster, because we know that starting quarterbacks in the NFL go down at some point, unfortunately. And so if you have 3, you bump Easton up to that backup role. Serviceable. He's very good. He's a good quarterback. He was with the Chargers for a while. So if he does make the roster, I think Falcons fans should be very happy about that. Tenitra, we got to see the rookies. They are the talk of the town. All these guys that were drafted this year. Yeah. They look pretty good, too, except I think Detroit had a plan for James Pierce Jr. double-teaming him quite a few times. What do you think about the rookies?
Yeah, I think we're going to see that more often than not, because, I mean, JPJ is showing out, and I think that the press release is out from him from what we've seen in training camp. So I don't doubt that this is what we're going to see. But, yeah, I like the way that he responded. I thought it was a solid performance that he gave us. And, listen, all you can expect is, or 2 things. Number 1 is for James Pierce Jr. to go out there and look like he can handle the game day speed. And number 2, just walk away without injury. Walk away without injury. So I think 2 for 2 on what we saw from JPJ on Friday night.
Does he get in a fight this week in these joint practices with Tennessee? What do we think?
I think so. I definitely think so.
Mix it up a little bit. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what people want to see from JPJ. And he does like to chirp quite a bit, so I'd imagine that he would whenever somebody else is across the line from him, of course. Let's talk about the competition for the safety spot opposite Jesse Bates, the best safety in the league, by the way. But there's a lot of competition for that second safety spot. You saw a lot of them rotating in against the Lions. Who do you think ultimately is going to edge everybody out?
I think Xavier Watts is the guy they drafted this year, and we talk about James Pierce Jr., we talk about Jalen Walker. They drafted another really good defender this year
they got
Xavier
a steal
Watts.
in him in the second round.
Exactly, guy out of Notre Dame. Now, DeMarco Hellams also made his presence felt in this game, so you like him, but I think Xavier Watts is a guy, and that's a position where he can get out there. You know, he lined up in the slot a little bit, free safety a little bit, in the box a little bit in this game, so it shows all the things he can do. I think he's one of those people who can contribute early, which is harder for the guys on the line, those outside linebackers, to contribute as early, so I think he's one to watch for sure.
Especially when Jalen Walker, there's not a concrete plan for exactly what they want him to do quite yet. It's just preseason game number 1, but one person that stood out to me, Tenitra, I know you can talk about him all day. DeMarco Hellams. The nickname is Bam Bam, courtesy of Jesse Bates. Dude was out to hit somebody. He looked great.
Oh, yeah. Call him Hitman, call him Bam Bam, call him Ready. I don't care what you call him, as long as he's on the field doing the things that we saw. And I think he was establishing himself from the beginning. That's really what I like. And he's that guy who we've seen flashes throughout his time with the Atlanta Falcons, but I think he came to show that he's not just a flash type of guy. I think he's showing that, hey, Jeff Ulbrich, if you put me in certain situations, I'm going to be there. I felt like everywhere the ball was, that's where DeMarco Hellams was, and that's what you want to see in this secondary. I think that he's going to be tremendous this season as long as his body holds up for him. I loved what I saw. I felt like DeMarco Hellams was, if I had to give out a game ball, I might have given him to Hellams.
Maybe he got it. We'll have to ask tomorrow. Because we're not really sure, because all the conversation obviously was focused around how the game ended, but DeMarco Hellams looks like he is out for a vengeance. He's on a vengeance. He wants to show everyone, look, I ended the season not how I wanted to last year with injury. I'm ready to make this roster, and I want to make a starting spot. Let's talk about Caleb McGarry, a veteran who had a 2-year extension, signed it on Monday, 2 years, $30 million. That's going to keep more continuity on this offensive line, Cody. This is a group, minus the center, of course, that's been together for quite some time, and Bergeron's obviously pretty young, but this is good for the Falcons, right?
Yeah, you like the continuity up front. That's one of the things for every offensive line all the time. I got to know when we're chipping a block, how long can I stay on that block before I move on to the linebacker? When we're doing pass coverage, I need to know what the man next to me is doing now. Caleb McGarry, this contract is not top of the league, but he's not top of the league. So I really like that the Falcons didn't overpay him for this, but it keeps the group together. And yeah, the right tackle, much more important in this Falcons defense than the left tackle. That's the blind side.
A lot of continuity on that offensive line. There is one question that we have for the offense. There's not many these days. Need to go really fast. What do you think their hardest decision will be this offseason?
Oh, I think it's going to be, what do they do if Darnell Mooney can't go week 1? Because I think he's the 1-2 punch when you look at Drake London, Darnell Mooney. I think that there are some flashes, like you see with Chris Blair and some of the other guys that they picked up, DJ Chark, for example. But I think ultimately that's the one.
David Sills is someone that we can't stop talking about for
and
some
had
reason.
a great night Friday night, by the way, too. You're right.
You're right. There is a whole handful of receivers that honestly I think could make it. Casey Washington got plenty of those first-team reps throughout the week.
Yeah.
And he also looked good in that preseason game. So we're going to see who makes the cut. That's definitely my biggest question as well. You want to chime in real fast?
Yeah, and it's not like these guys are going to go away. Some of these guys, the practice squads are so big now. These guys are all going to be around. So even though they don't make the 53 right out of camp, a lot of these guys are going to get their chance.
Obviously, we're keeping our fingers crossed to make sure that Darnell Mooney can be available for week one. Everyone is hoping for that. But coming up, we're just a few weeks away from college football getting started, which is also very hard to believe. What do we think Georgia and Georgia Tech's ceilings and floors are this year? Our answers, they're next. You turn around, college football season will be here.
Yes.
I can't believe that. We're talking about the Dogs and Georgia Tech, and we're going to do something a little new. We're going to give you the best case scenario and the worst case scenario for the records for each team. So let's go ahead and look at Georgia's schedule really quickly. And of course, it starts out very easy with Marshall and Austin Peay, but then you get into the thick of what will be an interesting hodgepodge of a schedule. Cody, you go first. What do you think their ceiling and their floor is?
I will say ceiling for Georgia. Kirby is standing in confetti in Miami at national champion once again. But I don't think the Dogs could go undefeated. I think they are going to lose a game. I think that's just the way college football is now. Whether that's Alabama or Texas, somebody's going to jump up and bite them. Now, if I had to go the floor for Georgia, if it all falls apart, I still think you're probably 8-4 with the Austin Peays and Marshalls on your schedule. But if you lose, say, to Alabama, to Texas, you lose one of those true road games at Auburn or Tennessee, and one of those neutral site games to Florida and Georgia Tech, all of those are possible. Georgia goes 8-4, and boy, that's a disappointing season in Athens if that's the case.
Only 3 true SEC road games for the Dogs this year, which I think probably pays dividends for them a little bit. You're not going to give Ole Miss any credit there, Cody?
Ole Miss, sorry, I forget Ole Miss, but yes, jumped up and bit them big time last year. Now you get that game at home. Georgia does get all those games that were on the road last year at home this year. That's the good news. But yeah, it's so tough.
All right, Tenitra, let's see. What do you think the best case scenario is for the Bulldogs and the worst case scenario?
So I'm going to give Ole Miss, I'm giving Hotty Toddy some credit.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm giving them credit. Listen, Georgia is ranked number 4 in the preseason polls, so they really don't have a lot of room for error just in terms of Penn State being at 3, Ohio State 2, and of course Texas number 1. But that said, Kirby Smart has never had a season where they've won less than 8 games, and I don't think that's going to start. I think it's a 10-2 season for them this year. I think that, Ole Miss is the one that I think might trip them up. Yes, I know that game's in Athens this time, but I just think sometimes it plays in your head. That game at Rocky Top is just concerning to me. I think they're going to get up for Alabama. I think they're going to get up for Texas, but I do think that's where they could be tripped up.
And you think that 4 losses is probably the worst they're going to do?
Yeah, and even with the 10-2 record, I still think they get to the college football playoff final and possibly become champions. But I do think that there is every possibility that maybe they could drop 3 or 4 of those games just because this is a brand new defense. And yes, there have been some additions on offense and defense that we like. Zachariah and Zion Branch come to mind, but ultimately we don't know how they're going to play until we see them on the field.
I'll go quick with mine. I think best case scenario for the Dogs is 10-2 in the regular season. I do think they're going to make it to the playoffs some way, somehow. I think all the Texas hype is around one guy in particular, that's Arch Manning. I'm not fully bought in that Texas is as good as they are. I don't actually give them a loss to Texas in these 2 losses, which I think is very interesting. I think that they can't lose any more than 2 games. Just looking at the schedule, even though Florida's much improved, that's kind of a trap game sometimes. I do think they are going to lose to Ole Miss. I'm saying it here not because I went there, but because Ole Miss has shown that they can hang with all of the big dogs, no pun intended. And then my worst case scenario, 8-4. I don't see them losing any more than 4 games, and even that, honestly, I think was a little much for me. Let's go to Georgia Tech. This is a team that nationally people are starting to finally pay attention. Brent Key has been building something very special there on the flats. Best case scenario for the Yellow Jackets. Cody, go ahead.
Because of the way the schedule sets up for Georgia Tech this year, I think you go 10-2. You could get in the ACC championship. You could be talking playoff appearance for Georgia Tech this year because of the way its schedule sets up. Again, last year swept all the games at Bobby Dodd. Yet now the road schedule looks really easy this year, so you can knock off those. You got to take your lumps against teams like Clemson, but they're in Georgia. But you've got other games that are very, very winnable. Now, the worst case, if like last year you can't get turnovers and you can't get pass rush and things fall apart and you start losing those games like at NC State, or they couldn't win at Duke, I say 6-6 is the low bar.
Yeah.
Haynes King, not really a worry for me because Aaron Philo proved he can do it if Haynes King gets hurt this year.
All right, T, we got a minute. Best case scenario and worst case scenario for Tech.
Almost chalk. 9-3 for Georgia Tech would be the best case scenario, but I wouldn't be shocked if I saw 10-2. Wouldn't mind if I saw it because 2 words, Haynes King. 2 words, Haynes King. Worst case scenario, I think it could be 7-5, but I honestly don't think that's going to happen because I agree with Cody. They have the most favorable schedule in the ACC, and I think that is going to bode well for Georgia Tech this season.
For me, for the Yellow Jackets, buy all the stock into this team that you can. I think they're going 10-2, and I really do think that they are going to play for an ACC championship. I don't think if you're Haynes King or Jamal Haynes, you come back not to be in that position. They are ready to take this team to the next level. You saw what they did in Athens, didn't get the win, but they were real close. I think worst case scenario for this team, 8-4, and even that I think is a little aggressive because I think this team is going to win. You don't bring guys like Buster Faulkner in and extend his contract and do all these things. They're ready to win.
7.5 is what Vegas has their win total, so you're going above, right?
All above. All above.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're excited for college football season. We are also excited that the FedEx St. Jude Championship was a drama-filled experience that had to be decided in a playoff between Justin Rose and J.J. Spawn. On the second playoff hole, Spawn sunk this long putt, and then we would head to a third playoff hole, and it sent our newsroom into a frenzy because we were continuing golf at that hour. Justin Rose with the clutch putt to put the pressure on Spawn. Look at him go, Justin Rose. Spawn could not respond. Rose wins his 12th title on the PGA Tour and takes home a nice little cash day, $3.6 million. Coming up, we had an incredible weekend at Truist Park. We're discussing the very important history that was made. Jen Powell, she is a star. She's after the break.
Wow, just incredible. Like dream came true. Like the dream actually came true today, and I'm still living in it.
This is unbelievable. And not just that Jen Powell made history, because that is incredible, but the fact that people in Atlanta got to witness this tremendous moment. She becomes the first woman ever to umpire a Major League Baseball game. She did that on Saturday and on Sunday. This is such a valuable moment for everyone who is a fan of Major League Baseball. It is about time that this happened. What did you think about Jen making her debut?
Yeah, I loved it for her. I love it for Major League Baseball. I can't believe we're having this conversation in 2025, if I'm being honest. But on the same token, we're here. And so I'm glad that we are here. And this has been a dream of Jen's since 1990 when she started talking about this to her best friends. Got to give so much credit to Braves Country for just welcoming her, the signage out there, and then you saw some of the younger kids, particularly the young females, seeing her shows them that it's something that they could do, and she did it at a high level. Like, she got solid grades for her umpiring, her refereeing yesterday and then again today. So I don't love the fact that we're here in 2025 having this conversation, but I do love the fact that we're finally here, and I'm encouraged that hopefully 5 or 10 years won't go by before we're having a conversation about the second time this happens.
I read a really cool story about Adam Wainwright when he was on a rehab assignment and she was there as an umpire. He went up to her and he said, "I just want to let you know I've got daughters and I'm so excited about what you're doing." So I think that was even more of a validating moment for Jen throughout the 30 years that she's done this. Glad to see it happen here in Atlanta. Let's talk about Drake Baldwin, who, to me, I don't really know who else you choose at this point for Rookie of the Year. He's got 2 home runs and 10 RBI this weekend alone. He's hitting .364 in the month of August. Cody, is this our Rookie of the Year?
This is your Rookie of the Year in the National League this year, and that's the Las Vegas odds will back you up. Jacob Mizorowski, who's the flamethrower with the Brewers, was like the second guy, but then he got hurt. So it's all Drake Baldwin all the time. And boy, it should be, right, with what he's doing for the Braves this year. And that's so much fun. At least we have something, right? And the Braves are going to put him in position to win this thing because why not? We got to find something good. So yeah, good for him. And he is right on track. It is his to lose at this point.
I was going to say, I don't think that fans understand how badly they need something like this. This would be tremendous for the ball club. Also, potentially tremendous that Chris Sale is working his way back to Tenitra. He's been out since mid-June, cracked that rib cage, which is unbelievable. Through a live BP session this week at Truist Park, and then he's set for his rehab assignment in Gwinnett on Tuesday. This is interesting for me because I have mixed feelings about Chris Sale even coming back at this point, because this is a wash season. What do you think about perhaps one of the best pitchers they have, if not the best, coming back at this point in time.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, but I don't think my feelings are mixed. I think I'm clear on I want him done for the season.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to gain here. We're talking about a guy who's already proven himself as the comeback kid, the Cy Young winner. We know what Chris Sale is able to do, and we know the passion of Chris Sale. He reminds me of Ronald Acuna Jr., a guy that's not going to just sit back and go, well, I'm going to kind of take it lightly. If you put him back in, he's going to go at 110%.
Yeah.
I don't want Chris Sale to ruin what could happen for 2026. So I'd love for him not to be able to take the mound again for this Braves team, at least here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it sounded like Brian Snicker was going to let Chris Sale do it. Chris Sale has been hurt so much in his career.
Yes.
He knows how to come back even from ribs. He's done that before. So I think he will press the brakes when he needs to, and he'll kind of take care of himself because we all know it's kind of a wash.
I know. We've already seen Chris Sale be amazing, so let's just look forward to 2026
Yes.
at this point, and we will look forward to my minute when we wrap things up after this. You know, it's no surprise this week that Maria's Minute is all about some history in Major League Baseball. Thank goodness for this, right? Jen Powell became the first woman to umpire a Major League Baseball game this weekend right here in Atlanta. And honestly, look at this. It is about dang time. She has worked over 1,200 minor league games over a 30-plus year career. She's been beyond ready, and I think that's an understatement. We're so proud of Jen. The impact and outreach her Major League debut had was tremendous. Look at the signs that you saw in the stands, the outpouring of support on social media, and of course, her many friends and family at Truist. Over 30, I think. It was so special. She is proof that women can truly be and do anything they want to be. Jen, thank you so much for being a pioneer for women everywhere. We honestly can't wait to see what you do next, and I think everyone else should follow suit. I'm looking at you, National Hockey League. We're waiting for you to get a female referee. Guys, thanks for watching each and every Sunday. Football is back everywhere. I will see you next week.